y'all, this is Marley K. Hope y'all are doing well. I have two stories about the computer guy that I'm going to bring to you. Both of them are older, but they tie into what's happening now, and somehow they kind of flew under the radar. I didn't see them, but I was doing some research about the computer guy and some of the stuff that he's doing on the continent, Africa. I say the continent, so I'm talking about Africa. And the reason that I'm looking is because, everybody is looking for some place to flee. Of course, being in the West, like you're in the belly of the beast, so you will experience the brunt of the desolation that's about to occur in the judgment. Unless you're covered and sealed by the Most High, and He, has chosen for us to escape what's coming. We're going to experience some things. We're going to go through some things, pretty bad things. But I believe He will give us the strength and the wisdom to get through whatever it is that we need to get through until we are delivered or until our exodus. But for the rest of the people, especially the Gentiles who are looking for, somewhere to go escape and pretend like they didn't do anything and act as if they don't know who we are and act as if judgment isn't coming upon them. A lot of people are trying to flee to South America and to the continent of Africa. And so, I'm keeping an eye on what's going on because y'all know the Pilgrims have a scorched earth policy. They destroy, then they move on. They kill, they move on. They steal, and then they move on. And so I kind of feel like we're in this cycle right now where they are destroying before they move on because they don't want anybody to come here and be able to rebuild or make it a viable place. There will be some places that are not destroyed, as bad, but a lot of places are going to be toast. And so you have these rich people who are or who have been investing in other places outside of the US for years. And I used to always wonder, as a fundraiser, why people like Oprah Winfrey and Bill Gates and a lot of the billionaire philanthropists would invest in Africa and not in America where they live, where they made their money. And so now it makes sense because they were forward thinking. They were thinking that they're going to be on the continent because they knew that this place is going to be destroyed. They knew who we were. They knew what they'd done. And somehow they thought if they could kill us off or keep us asleep, that they get to continue to live and do more dirt and destroy more stuff. But thankfully, the curse is breaking and we are awakening and things are happening. But I want to bring you this story about the computer guy who knows all things and how he has pledged $7 billion for African countries. And I want you to understand what's happening and why they're doing it. So this story was in Voices of America. And if you know anything about Voices of America, VOA, Voice of America, it is the propaganda wing for the government. And it has been for a very long time. If you want to know why people don't like us, this is one of the primary sources that has been used for decades to program other people in other countries about what's going on in America. So this article came out November 18th, 2022. So it's fairly recent. And I'm talking about it because I want people to understand, if you're trying to go to the continent, you really need to understand that the continent is not free of shenanigans. The continent is loaded with shenanigans. That's the new stomping ground for the pilgrims. So you got to understand what you're getting yourself into. You're not leaving Babylon. They're trying to go and reestablish a new Babylon. Although it's not going to work, but they're going to try. So that's why I'm talking about this particular story. So it's set in Nairobi, Kenya. So it says billionaire philanthropist and Microsoft founder, computer guy that knows all things, pledged an additional $7 billion in development funds to Africa. The computer guy and his wife's foundation said the money would be spent over the next 4 years. So now this is 2022. This was announced. This means over a 4-year period, which would be 2026. They are going to support African countries as they confront hunger, disease, gender inequality, and poverty. And the gender inequality is interesting because that means men in Africa are going to be like men in America. They're going to be displaced. This is a disruptor. They want to emasculate the society. They want to bring in all the elemental peace stuff. And they want to restructure the old system where men are dominant and the women are not dominant. Women, it's a very traditional nation for the most part. And so they want to undo that because they know they're coming there. And also they understand that the black man is the strongest man on earth, the first man. So they got to do something about them because there are too many of them and they are too strong and too powerful, too scary for these folks. So they got to get rid of some of them. So they got to emasculate them or fix it where they're not the lead in their societies anymore. And that's what they're doing. It's always a slow process, just like they did with us. Slowly but surely they eroded our communities, and they're getting ready to do the same thing on the continent. So it says, making the announcement in Nairobi, the computer guy reaffirmed the foundation's long-term commitment to Africa, saying the new commitment is in addition to existing funds that support organizations like Lollipop Alliance and the Global Fund to fight the cootie bugs, tuberculosis, and malaria. Constantly reducing maternal mortality, constantly reducing neonatal mortality. Now notice he always fixated on our bodies and our babies and our health. Why you think that is? They have a plan, so you got to understand it. They're never interested in helping us get out of poverty. They're never interested in returning what they've stolen from us. They're never interested in leaving us alone. They have to be involved in monitoring us, our health care, our food. They got to watch us. They keep us under surveillance. And so this is all that this is. It says that's really the metric that drives our foundation, he said. We are very proud. We are a part of the movement with many other partners. So they're telling you that they got a whole bunch of people helping to monitor and kill us and our cousins and them. Responding to a question asked by VOA at a press conference, Computer Guy challenged young people in Africa to use technology to find solutions to the problems facing the continent. Notice they're trying to get young people to use technology. You got to use that tech because once you use it, you're going to be addicted to it. And once you become addicted to it, it's easy for us to condition you to be comfortable with digital wallets and digital IDs and digital passports. so easy. I believe that with innovation over the next 10 years, most areas of emissions, we can come up with new approaches. Now, here they're talking about emissions. Why are we talking about emissions? Now, you see how they jump to climate, emissions, climate change? But we have to hurry, got to hurry up. And then, even once we invent those approaches, we have to get them deployed. So, listen to the urgency. It's just really interesting to listen to this guy talk. It says Luciano Odiero, a medical student at the University of Nairobi and an aspiring entrepreneur, attended the Computer Guys' town hall meeting at the university. Odiero said she felt even more inspired after the meeting. Po thing. We are surrounded by problems, sadly, especially being in Africa. So it's not hard to pick a problem and work on it. It's not hard to be innovative. It's just you identifying the problem. See what has already been done on it. See what's already been done on it. Think how it is affecting you personally and how it is affecting your neighbor and finding a way around it, she said. However, Nairobi-based economist and development expert Odhiambo Ramogi was more skeptical of Computer Guys' visit. He fears the Microsoft founder is paving the way for U.S. companies to make profits in Kenya. A smart person. He made a lecture at the University of Nairobi and was talking very flowery about genetically modified organisms. You hear that now? Hardly a month after cabinet approves this. So it feels like his mission was not just aid oriented, but also business oriented, because GMOs would give some American companies very good business in the country, Ramogi said. During Computer Guys' first trip to Africa since the began, he said he learned from partners about what programs and approaches are making an impact, the obstacles that remain, and how the foundation can better support future progress. So, I just wanted to share with you that again, this is from 2022. This man has a 4-year agenda. He's talking urgency. He's talking about doing things to people, things that nobody asked him for. He's just being helpful. And, we're looking at it from our perspective here, but we don't really know how the people feel on the continent about their intervention because they don't really show us that side. But the fact that it was in VOA was really alarming to me because VOA is purely propaganda and we don't get to see VOA. It's primarily a mouthpiece for the State Department that's, for outside of the US. So the powers that be are telegraphing what they're doing. If you're planning on going to the continent, you need to understand what time it is. You're not going to be living free and clean and clear over there. They got their hands over there already doing stuff. And you're just going to leave one place that's desolate and go to the next place that they're planning on ruining while they still got time on this earth to ruin stuff. So please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. If you got people on the continent, warn them about the devils that we got here that's coming their way because they're coming. They're going to destroy this and they're going on to the next because that's what they do. All right, y'all, this is Marta K, and I'm out of here.